Winnipeg temperature on the 24th of November is about -4 degrees. Let's not kid anybody today. It is cold in Winnipeg. The temperature is -18 degrees Celsius. It is substantially below normal. But the Calgary Stampeders and Toronto Argonauts all week have said they are not concerned about the weather. Let's just get on with the game. And the Rocket awaits the opening kickoff. You heard in the coin toss, the Calgary Stampeders deferred. They won the toss, and both coaches said yesterday that if they won the toss, they would defer their choice to the second half. They want to see what wind conditions are like in the second half, and the Calgary Stampeders will have that advantage. The 79th Grey Cup game is underway with Darrell K. Smith on the return, and he fights his way out to the 37-yard line. That's where they will scrimmage 1st and 10. David Sapunjas made the tackle. Matt Dunnigan, the starting quarterback for the Argos.
Well, Matt Dunnigan would dearly love to have a Grey Cup championship. That's the one thing that's eluded him so far. It's going to be a big test this first drive to see how well Matt can gain the confidence not only of himself, but for his teammates.
1st and 10, the ball at the 37. Dunnigan would like a repeat of his first half performance in the Eastern Final last week against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Dunnigan, pursued by Laird, gets the pass away, and it was almost intercepted over on the far side of the field by Tucker. It was intended for Masati, but he had tremendous pressure from Stu Laird.
Well, there was some rumors that Matt Dunnigan was getting practice in the dormitory or in the hotel. Hey, he's worried about his pass protection right now, but he wants to get the ball to Clements, and he's going to find Darrell K. Smith open in those seam routes.
When he played the Calgary Stampeders on September 15th in a 33-24 Calgary victory, Dunnigan only lasted 6 plays before he suffered that broken collarbone when decked by Will Johnson. Dunnigan looks deep. Going for David Williams, it's incomplete. He was being covered by Junior Thurman. So it's 2 and out for the Toronto Argonauts. Matt Dunnigan directing the attack. And the Calgary Stampeders will get the football. Their defensive unit has done its job. It was the #1 defensive unit in the West. The Toronto Argonauts, #2 defensively in the East, #2 in the Canadian Football League. Errol Tucker and Carl Bland are back for the 3rd down putt by Hank Olisic. This is Hank Olisic's 9th Grey Cup appearance. The end-over-end kick bounces to Bland, and Bland is downed immediately at the 43-yard line. Blaine Schmidt, who centers on 3rd down, was the first man downfield to make the tackle. A 33-yard kick by Olisic. The return was limited to 6 yards. Pushing and shoving after the tackle, but nothing serious is going to develop. Danny Barrett directs the attack for the Stampeders.
What Danny Barrett would like to do right away to get off to a good start, he wants to get the ball in the hands of those speed people. He doesn't know how long that sun's going to stay up. It's a fast track right now. The field is perfect.
And they start with the 6-pack. They have 3 receivers over to the left side. Now they swing 2 of the 5 that had initially gone there over to the right. Barrett throwing to his right. It's intercepted by Ed Berry. Berry down the sidelines. Touchdown. A 52-yard interception return for a touchdown by Ed Berry. So the Toronto Argonauts, unable to move the football offensively, use their defense to put 6 on the board.
Well, Danny Barrett tried a quick outcut, but you have to throw that ball low and outside. He led the receiver too much. Ed Berry was in perfect position to take it down all the way.
Danny Barrett was the only player with a chance of preventing Ed Berry from getting to the end zone, and he was unable to stop him. The pass was intended for Pee Wee Smith, so with the touchdown by Berry, the Argos lead 6-0, and now Lance Chummy, the scoring leader in the Canadian Football League, a record setter this year with 236 points, adds the point after.
Well, Don, it's exactly like you said last week. Everybody talks about the Toronto offense, and they have a tendency to overlook the defense. They're very strong at the corners. Berry, he's one of those guys that will lay back, and then come up with the interception, but that ball was perfectly thrown to him. not to their receiver. And of course, they got Reggie Pleasant on the other side. Defenses are only as good as their defensive corners.
It's remarkable when you look at Danny Barrett's interception total this year. Only 5 times did he throw a ball into opposition hands. And on his very first pass attempt in the most important game of the year, he hits Ed Berry, who returns it 52 yards for a touchdown.
Well, we've seen the skill people be way off. Dunnigan was off. And of course, right here, Danny Barrett is off. Even Hank Alisic didn't get a very good kick. So when you're out there with cold temperature, that's what happens. Barrett had an angle. He tried to come in on him. Ed Berry was too fast.
Only 5 interceptions in 438 attempts this year. 1 in every 87 throws. In 1971, when the Argos lost, their only touchdown scored by an interception, a fumble recovery, and the Argos have it again. Keith Costello recovers the kickoff, and the Calgary Stampeders find themselves in a hole early in this football game. The Toronto Argonauts, who were loose, relaxed, and enjoying themselves all week, are enjoying themselves in the game that counts most, as they have jumped into an early 7-0 lead, and they have it 1st and 10 after the fumble recovery at the Calgary 30-yard line.
Well, that hurts more than the last play, because Calgary had a chance to come back out on offense. Now they don't.
Carl Bland unable to hold the football. Kevin Smelly stopped at the line of scrimmage. Matt Finlay, the linebacker, came up to stop Smelly. He got to the line of scrimmage and not much more. Ken Watson, a defensive back, was also in that tackle.
Well, Dunnigan looked to the outside. He wanted to see if he could get the corner. He's looking for the sprint out off the play pass.
An injured member of the Calgary Stampeders, Stu Laird, who this year became the Calgary Stampeder all-time sack leader, a distinction that was held until late this season by a member of the Toronto Argonauts, Harold Hallman, who previously played, of course, with the Stampeders. As a matter of fact, when he was with the Stampeders, he won Rookie of the Year honors, a Shenley Award winner in the Canadian Football League. Right now, let's bring in Scott Oates.
Don, the LA Kings entourage and ownership of the Argonauts out here in full force today. Here is one of the most recognizable faces in Canada underneath all this clothing and this toque. Wayne Gretzky, is there enough clothing in Los Angeles to dress for order like this?
Yeah, I'm pretty cold, and I told all my friends that we brought up that they've never seen cold like this, and they didn't believe me, and now I think they believe me.
Okay, we'll talk to you hopefully again during the course of the game. Don?
Wayne Gretzky last night with a hat trick for the Los Angeles Kings, his first 3-goal performance of the year in their victory over San Jose. Dunnigan's pass intended for Masati, incomplete. It will be 3rd and 10, pardon me, and a Lance Chomick field goal coming up. So Dunnigan, although he is the starting quarterback, hasn't been able to get the ball to his receivers.
Well, he wanted to scramble. There was good coverage downfield, but watch Alondra Johnson. That's a key. Alondra's got good speed. He won't let the quarterback scramble. He's the spy.
That may have been something of a test for the injured collarbone of Matt Dunnigan as well, as he went down heavily. Lance Chomick with the field goal attempt. It is wide. And Greg Peterson in the end zone is going to concede a single point for an 8-0 Toronto lead. Well, the Toronto Argonauts didn't quite capitalize the way they had hoped on those 2 turnovers. They got 6 points out of the interception by Ed Berry, but on Keith Costello's fumble recovery, they were forced to settle for a field goal try that went wide for a single point. So it's 8-0, 12-12 the time remaining in the opening quarter. 1st and 10 Calgary. They are at their own 35. Barrett looking for Pitts, and that ball deflected and was almost intercepted again by Ed Berry.
Danny Barrett was looking for man-to-man coverage, and he had Pitts on the out. He thought he'd get clearing from the 2 wide-out receivers. It didn't happen. Ed Berry almost had his 2nd interception. Hey, the skill people don't look very good out here, Don. The kickers and the passers. Let's see what the catchers look like.
Well, as they always say, defense wins championships, and so far, the Toronto Argonaut defensive unit has played exceptionally well. Danny Barrett is in trouble, and he's cut from behind by Brian Warren, and the Calgary Stampeders will be forced to kick it away. Many people, in talking about the Toronto Argonauts, tend to overlook their very solid defensive unit, the number 2 defensive unit in the league. It yielded just 27 points more than the number 1 team, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
And Brian Warren is one of those people that helps the Toronto Argos so much. Good pass rush. He's had 11 sacks this year.
Jerry Corrick is punting. The lone man back is the Rocket. He takes it on the run, but doesn't have an opportunity to cut as Marshall Toner was there to make the tackle at the 50. Let's bring in Steve Armitage.
Thank you, Don. Make no mistake, the turf here at Winnipeg Stadium is very hard. So what are the players wearing? Well, the Calgary Stampeders are going with the normal turf shoe. Some are wearing what they call the Nike Destroyer, which has just a little longer rubber cleat with a point on it. Back to you, Don.
And regardless of what footwear they decide upon, I'm sure it's difficult to keep feet warm under these frigid conditions. A minus 18-degree temperature. 29 yards the length of the kick, only 4 yards on the return, and the penalty flag against the Toronto Argonauts will take the ball back to the 40-yard line.
Well, I think Marshall Toner, he must have been wearing Nike Destroyers because he came in and destroyed the Rocket before he even had a chance to take off.
First and 10, the ball is at the 40-yard line. Matt Dunnigan, the surprise starter for the Toronto Argonauts all week. Doubts grew as to whether Dunnigan would even dress for the game. Never mind start. The screen to Kevin Smelly. He will pick up about 7, maybe 8 yards before being stopped by Will Johnson.
Well, Daryl Hall did a perfect job of breaking off his block and coming up to force the play back to the inside. Number 7, Daryl Hall, he made that play go. He let the pursuit catch that screen pass. First completion of the day, at least to the intended receiver.
Second and 3, the ball is at the 47-yard line. Smith and the Rocket line up wide to the right. Toronto leading by a score of 8-0. Kevin Smelly trying to get that first down. I think he's short. I don't think he got to the 50-yard line, and he had to hit the 50 to pick up the first down.
I think Wally Buono is thinking Matt Dunnigan may not be 100%, because how many times have you seen Matt Dunnigan not carry the ball in those situations himself on the option?
Well, Matt Dunnigan certainly fooled a lot of people with his performance this week. At any official gathering he attended, he always indicated that the arm was very sore, that he was unable to move it. But he is the starting quarterback, and Dunnigan is gambling on third down. He keeps, and Dunnigan gets the first down, close to midfield.
Well, Matt certainly appeared to be injured all week, but he did say last week at the conclusion of the ball game, they'd have to cut that arm off to keep him out of the ball game. Well, you got to move the pile, and that's a good job by the Argos. I mean, they move people back, and Matt, he makes a nice gain.
Jim Kardash came into the tight end position to throw a key block, enabling Dunnigan to get to his outside and pick up the first down at midfield. First and 10 Toronto. The Argos lead by a score of 8-0. Dunnigan throwing deep over the middle for Masadi, incomplete.
Well, Matt's upset. That was a perfectly thrown ball. However, Greg Peterson, he recovered and came over. And that might be an indication of how well the Calgary defense is playing, because let's face it, Masadi is not the intended receiver on a lot of those passes. So if they can double cover on Masadi, guess what will happen to Darrell K. Smith, the Rocket, David Williams? That's a great play by Peterson. He broke up the play. Masadi had a shot.
Second and 10 Toronto from the midfield stripe. Dunnigan throwing deep down the sidelines, and he overthrows Darrell K. Smith. And Dunnigan immediately goes downfield to talk to the Rocket, and there may have been a bit of miscommunication between a couple of the receivers as Dunnigan went deep for Darrell K. Smith. Many times there are silent audibles that the Argos use, and someone may have erred on that particular pattern.
Well, I think the preliminary indication would be that the Rocket wasn't where he's supposed to be. You never want two receivers to be in the same spot. With Matthew down there talking to him, it was obviously the Rocket that made the wrong cut.
Hank Olisic stands at the 40-yard line for this third down punt. Good kick. Pee Wee Smith dodges a couple of tackles, trying to get to the outside. And Hank Olisic takes them out of bounds up at the 33-yard line. We'll be back right after this.
Footwear may be important down on the field, but up here in the stands for the fans, it's layers and layers. Santa has the right idea. Plenty of layers, lots of hair helps. The seats, the sleeping bags, he said we're ready back to the game. Don, it's back up to you.
And what could be more appropriate on a cold day like this than Santa and her elf feet? Pass over the middle to Sapunjas, and Sapunjas is close to a first down up at the 44-yard line.
Well, they've done their scouting report. That play is the play they like to come back to pitch, but Sapunjas coming over the middle, had a clear field, picked up the first.
First and 10 for the Calgary Stampeders. The initial first down of the football game for Calgary. 4 receivers wide to the right. Barrett getting pretty good protection. Throws to Kevin Simeon. And he'll have a gain of about 9 yards.
Well, that was the 4 receiver pack again to this side out of the 6 receivers. And they can't get the ball to Pitts. But Danny Barrett's doing a good job coming off to his secondary receivers. Simeon, he's one of those guys that came in after training camp. And he's a starter. Wally Buono's really happy with him.
The helicopter view of Winnipeg Stadium with 52,000 watching this 79th Grey Cup game. The weather much colder than is normal for this time of year in the Manitoba capital. Earlier in the week, with the mercury close to the 0 mark. As a matter of fact, on Monday it was above freezing. There was hope that it would be ideal for game day, but some Arctic air moved in, and as a result, the mercury has plummeted. Second and about 1. Again, out of that 6-back formation, Danny Barrett trying to keep. It doesn't appear as though his forward progress got him a first down, as he was stacked up by Rodney Harding and then pushed back.
I think the big problem here, Don, was he went on a quick count. It looked like the defense was ready before the offense. I mean, the defense is getting a better charge than Danny Barrett's own offensive line, and he didn't make it.
Well, it has warmed up a little over the last half hour. If you can call minus 16 any warmer, really, than minus 18 degrees.
I don't know that there's a lot of difference.
They're down, the Stamps keep, and this time there's no doubt as Danny Barrett drives straight ahead and picks up a first down.
I know what Wally Buono sent in. He didn't send in anybody for personnel purposes. He sent him in for a little motivation. He said, get that first down. Let's get a good hit out.
Wally Buono, in his second year as head coach of the Calgary Stampeders. What a job he did with the Calgary team this year. His career coaching record in Calgary is very impressive. 20 wins, 13 losses. This time pressure as Danny Barrett goes down, a loss of about 3 yards. Coming from their linebacking positions were Darryl Ford and Don Moan, and they got to the quarterback, Danny Barrett.
When you get linebackers coming in to get pressure, that's what you have to worry about as an offensive line. They've got more people rushing the passer than they've got blockers. That's what Danny Barrett had the problem with.
From the shotgun formation, Danny Barrett finds his receiver open, and Pee Wee Smith on the sidelines gets away from Jim Rockford, but apparently Rockford got a piece of him, forcing him out of bounds at the 33-yard line. And I think it's quite obvious as you listen and watch the fan reaction at Winnipeg Stadium that the majority of spectators are cheering for the team in red.
Well, the Calgary spectators are here, the fans from Calgary, but what is impressive is the number of people here from Saskatchewan. I mean, there are thousands of green hats out in the crowd.
23 yards the gain on the pass to Pee Wee Smith, who was the hero late in the game in the Western Final against the Edmonton Eskimos. Pass intended for Sean Beals, incomplete. He was being covered by Don Wilson. It's 2nd and 10 for the Stampeders.
Danny Barrett took the hit on that play. What he's trying to do is to set it up so they can get back to Alan Pitts. He's got the 4 receivers they're using always to his right side. But he takes a tremendous hit. He had to get rid of the ball a little too soon.
Stampeders in their import Canadian balance have 7 on each side of the football, while the Argos have 5 imports on offense, 9 on defense. Barrett throwing deep into the end zone. Penalty flag on the play. Not much doubt about that.
The Edmonton Eskimos have seen that play. That's the same play that Danny Barrett threw with 50-some seconds to go last week to win the Western Division Championship. He sprinted out to his left, saw Pee Wee Smith put a move on and then break to the open. But there's no doubt about the interference call.
Reggie Pleasant was called for interference.
Toronto number 2, first down Calgary.
So it's an automatic first down at the 1-yard line. First and goal for the Stampeders. They trail by a score of 8-0. The handoff to Keevan Jenkins. He won't get there. Chris Gaines, who has indicated that he will be retiring after this Grey Cup appearance, came in from his middle linebacking position to stack up Keevan Jenkins right at the line of scrimmage as he attempted to get to the outside of a lead block by Andy McVeigh.
Reggie Pleasant helped out. He turned the play back to the inside, but Jethro Chris Gaines, he's the guy that made the big hit.
2nd and goal from the 1-yard line. Barrett keeps. Touchdown. After the touchdown, members of the offensive and defensive lines continue to push and shove, but they cannot deny Danny Barrett the touchdown as he went straight ahead to cross the goal line to break the plane and put the Calgary Stampeders on the board. Steve Taylor will hold for Mark McLaughlin's conversion. The Calgary Stampeders have drawn within a single point. With the benefit of the pass interference call, the Calgary Stampeders get their first touchdown of the ball game. Mark McLaughlin, who grew up in Winnipeg, preparing to kick off for the Stampeders. The Rocket on the kickoff return. Spins off a couple of hits and fights his way out to the 42-yard line, where Toronto will scrimmage 1st and 10. Scott?
Don, here's the Toronto Argonauts' official position on number 16, quarterback Matt Dunnigan. They steadfastly maintain it wasn't a ruse this week and say they had no idea he might be able to play today until they treated the shoulder yesterday and he threw in the hotel. The suspicion is, although the Argonauts won't confirm it, that the sore part of the shoulder has been frozen or numbed. Even so, Dunnigan is still playing in considerable pain.
If it was not medically frozen, it would be out here under these frigid conditions at Winnipeg Stadium. The pass complete to Masati. Masati was looking for a block, found himself all alone and tried to split Matt Finlay and Junior Thurman, and he's brought down. It would appear just short of a first down.
That was another mix-up. They were expecting a block to come in from the slot back. They didn't get it, and Masati was out there all alone.
The injured ball player is Chris Schultz, their huge offensive tackle. And losing Schultz would certainly be a blow, and obviously Matt Dunnigan is quite concerned about the state of health of Chris Schultz.
Well, Chris Schultz, he tried to go out and cut on the linebacker. He couldn't get Cofield.
.309 is the time remaining in the opening quarter, with the Toronto Argonauts leading Calgary by a score of 8-7.
To the right of your screen, you see a high-low block. Chris Schultz starts high, and then he comes in low on Cofield. He cut him right down, but it looked like he hurt himself in the process.
It looked as though Cofield's knee hit the helmet of Chris Schultz. He has had some neck problems in the past, and this could be a recurrence of that same injury.
They'll probably have to bring in Jim Kardash, and Kardash will have to grow up fast when he plays over a guy like Tim Cofield.
Cofield has tremendous strength, and he is also one of the fastest members of the Calgary Stampeders. But Schultz appears to be in a lot of difficulty as he gets to one knee, and they try and help the huge offensive tackle off to the sidelines. He is now up, and he is walking to the bench. But he is very woozy. He may have caught the knee in the helmet, and the force of the blow may have perhaps temporarily knocked him out.
I think it was the left knee of Cofield that came up and kicked him as he made the cut.
3 minutes remaining in the opening quarter. 8-7, Toronto leading Calgary in this 79th edition of the Grey Cup game. There's that pump fake. Dunnigan keeps, gets the first down, running to the 50-yard line. He faked as though he was going to throw that hitch screen, decided to run it himself, and gets a first down.
Well, that's the play we talked about at the top of the game, was the pump fake. But watch Cofield come around Blaine Schmidt, and he runs Matt Dunnigan down from behind, so that shows you some speed.
First and 10, Toronto. The ball is at the 50 of the Calgary Stampeders. 2:25 remaining in the opening quarter. For a portion of this opening quarter, the official scoreboard clock was not functioning. Dunnigan is decked. Kent Warnock makes the sack as Will Johnson forced him. And Kent Warnock came in to make the sack for a big loss back to the Toronto 53.
Well, that was not only a sack, that was a thump. Matt can't see, and now Warnock comes in and really cleans it up. Cofield's blocked this time, but Will Johnson wasn't blocked, and he got into Matt's vision. Warnock cleaned it up.
Second and 17. Dunnigan trying to throw, and that's pretty difficult when a guy like Kent Warnock has his arms wrapped around you and the ball falls harmlessly to the turf.
Well, you've got to admit that Kent Warnock, I mean, that's two good plays back-to-back, as you're going to see. University of Calgary has an impact in this football game. There are 7 University of Calgary football players out there, and I think that's, counting Mr. Warnock, that's the most of any university.
Yes, there are 7 who played for the Dinosaurs in action this afternoon. 5 of them performing with the Stampeders, 2 with the Toronto Argonauts. Errol Tucker and Pee Wee Smith are back for the third down punt by Hank Alisic. Another pretty good kick by Alisic. Pee Wee Smith lets it bounce, takes the ball at the 17-yard line. Penalty flag in the play as Smith is down at the 27, a run back of 10 yards. A 41-yard kick and a 10-yard return, and it is a no yards call. Well, the city of Winnipeg certainly staged a party this Grey Cup week. All the visitors remarked that this may be one of the best Grey Cups they have ever attended. Unfortunately, the weather didn't cooperate on this Grey Cup Sunday, as it could be 12 degrees warmer than it is.
Bounce back penalty. Decline. Calgary first out.
I can't think of a better host for a Grey Cup than this city. I mean, the volunteers have been super. From the minute you got off the airplane until you got to your hotel and all the activities this week, I mean, it's a warm Winnipeg welcome and warm hospitality. Cold football.
And it's going to get colder as the afternoon progresses and the sun sets in the west. It's a first down from the 26-yard line. Pee Wee Smith takes the ball down the sidelines for a first down, forced out by Carl Brazeley.
Pee Wee Smith is an inspiration to this football team. Newspapers had a picture of him shining the owner's car this week. He was riding Itzy, their mascot horse. But hey, he's been doing something the last few plays here, and what a punt returner. Now he shows his speed, just a simple pass, made a lot out of it.
People probably wonder what his given name is. It's Demetrius, not Pee Wee. Sapunjas takes the pass over the middle to the 50-yard line. Don Moan was there to make the tackle, take the feet out from under Sapunjas. Wally Buono was saying yesterday that many teams have inquired about the availability of David Sapunjas. He said he is not available.
Oh, he won't let Sapunjas go. This guy has made big play after big play.
No huddle offense. The pass complete to Sean Beals, and this is a Calgary first down. Beals is decked at the 52-yard line. Stampeders made a couple of early mistakes. An interception led to a Toronto touchdown, but since then the momentum seems to be shifting. The Stampeders appear to have settled down. They're playing well. David Bevell was in on the stop on Beals, but not before he picked up a first down to the 52. The pass is knocked down right at the line of scrimmage by Mike Campbell. And that is also the final play of the opening quarter here at Winnipeg Stadium. It's 8-7. Toronto leads Calgary.
Here's to the everyday things that end up being everything. Here's to all things simple, with casual clothing and footwear from Marks.
Welcome back to Winnipeg Stadium and the 79th Grey Cup game as we start the second quarter. Calgary's 2nd and 10. The Stamps trailing by a point. Sideline pattern. And the catch is good. Carl Bland making the reception for a Calgary first down.
We talked about those outcuts have to be low and outside. And Danny Barrett made sure that that ball was low and outside. He's not going to give up another interception on a corner.
Bland had to go low to make that catch, and he was able to get his hands on it before it hit the turf. 1st and 10. The ball just shy of the 40-yard line. Handoff. Keevan Jenkins, and Jenkins runs his way to the 35.
Danny Barrett is playing that running game only momentarily, only when he has to.
Second down pass should be good for a first down as he found Carl Bland again on the sidelines. And Ken Lazaruk, the referee, indicates to the men on the sidelines that they can move the chain as it's a first down inside the 30-yard line.
Danny Barrett's giving them a real clinic out there on throwing the football. He's throwing to the place where the defense is giving him some room.
Two receivers to either side of the field. Barrett rolls right. He's under pressure. Gets away. And as he tries to cut back, he's stopped by Mike Campbell.
Danny Barrett saved a sack, and he made a great move to cut back up inside. He came off the play fake, and the Argos just weren't buying that play fake. Watch him make his break. He does a tremendous job just avoiding the rush here of Warren.
It will be 2nd and 10 Calgary.
Well, there's Pitts. He's downfield. He's wide open. Said, hey, throw the ball to me. Throw the ball to me. But Danny Barrett's on the ground.
12:36 remaining in the second quarter. Toronto leading by a score of 8-7. Barrett's pass deflected at the line of scrimmage. Donnie Moan got a hand on it, and he knocked it down before it could get anywhere near the intended receiver, Carl Bland.
Good job by Donnie Moan. He got up. He was airborne. When he saw that hand go up to throw the football from Danny Barrett, he batted the ball down. That's the only way they can stop the passing attack right now. Knock the ball down. Moan at the right of your screen really gets up there and jumps up to knock the ball down. That's their best pass defense so far.
Mark McLaughlin with a 37-yard field goal attempt. If successful, the Stampeders will take the lead for the first time, which they do. 12:04 is the time remaining in the second quarter.
The Argonaut offensive line is weaker as long as tackle Chris Schultz has to sit out, and he will until he regains his senses. He had his bell rung late in the first quarter of play, was unsure where he was, but knows now he must be in Winnipeg, he says, because he's freezing. Steve?
Scott, the most popular spot on the Stampeders bench is the propane heater. The offensive linemen are having a lot of trouble keeping their hands warm. Don?
I would think they're also having some difficulties keeping their feet warm. And as the game progresses, that may become even a bigger concern. Well, the Rocket got his feet going and brought the football back to the 50-yard line, a 30-yard run back off that kickoff. Andy McVeigh made the tackle. It will be 1st and 10 Toronto from the 50-yard line.
Well, because of the Rockets' return, they get good field position. He makes some great cuts and always finds an open seam. It's interesting. They've been kicking to him. They certainly haven't been kicking away from the Rocket.
This is Toronto's version of the six-pack, and the pass is complete. And the Rocket made a couple of people miss, but he'll be stopped short of a first down by linebacker Matt Finlay.
This play is designed more to set up some other plays, particularly the one to Darryl Smith. They want to get the ball quick outside, hope to force a broken play, but Junior Thurman, he's not going to bite. He held on to him long enough for the pursuit to come over.
Second and 2. Ball is at the Calgary 52-yard line. Kevin Smelly gets the first down to the 45. Alondra Johnson made the tackle. Style is not a major concern today for the spectators at Winnipeg Stadium. Comfort and remaining warm is the main priority.
Well, they would like to have those block heaters that so many people use on their automobiles right now.
A long electrical cord to satisfy the 52,000 who are here. A hitch screen to David Williams. And Williams is caught on a good defensive effort by Errol Tucker, who got in behind the attempted block. And I know, Joe, you don't like that hitch screen.
That's your favorite play, Don. I know it is, but if you don't get everybody blocked up, there's still one guy unaccounted for, and he's usually the guy that makes the tackle. That was the case with Errol Tucker. He reacted. He recognized the play. Coach Adam Rita, he didn't like that. He wanted to make a little more yards than -2.
Second and 12, Toronto. The toss to the pinball, and the Calgary defense is swarming right now as they are all over Mike Pinball Clemens, dropping him for a further loss.
I think one of the things that we have seen here is that Calgary isn't relying on a lot of tricks on defense. They're just reacting. They're simply reacting to the plays. They're rushing only 4 people on pass plays. They did a great job of reaction here. Alondra Johnson, one of the better tacklers at the linebacker position in the CFL. Big play.
So Hank Olisic moves in once again to handle this third down punt. We mentioned Hank Olisic playing in his 9th Grey Cup game. Tommy Grant, John Barrow, Angela Mosca of Hamilton, Dave Cutler, and Larry Highbaugh of Edmonton are the others who have played in 9 Grey Cup games. Errol Tucker on the punt return, thrown down out of bounds inside his own 10-yard line. 9:25 remains in the first half of this year's Grey Cup game. On the Jumbotron, a marriage proposal. Doug is asking Christine, and the 52,000 here at Winnipeg Stadium is suggesting that she say yes.
Well, if that doesn't warm her up, nothing will. All right, Doug.
And it appears she has. Sapunjas gets to the outside. He gets a first down, Calgary. Lugging the ball out to the 22-yard line, forced out of bounds by Don Moe.
I thought Wally Buono had a nice thing to say. He said, we're not going to worry all that much about Toronto. We're going to worry about how we execute. That's a great executed play by Sapunjas, coming around more or less a Statue of Liberty. Did Christine say yes?
Well, the way Doug is reacting, it would appear that she did. First and 10 from the 22-yard line. The toss to Keevan Jenkins. And Darryl Ford from his linebacking position goes across the field and limits the gain to about 2, maybe 3 yards with 8:52 remaining in the half.
Coach Buono told us that he's got a slasher in Keevan Jenkins, but that is a hammer in Chris Gaines. I mean, he likes to come over and jump on people.
Wally Buono said we can't worry about the Toronto Argonauts, whether Dunnigan is going to play, whether Pinball is going to play. He said all we can do is prepare ourselves. We can't worry about anything they might do. The ball is loose as Barrett fumbles. It's still loose, picked up by the Argos, but I believe the whistle had gone.
He ruled possession when Danny Barrett made the recovery. I haven't seen a quarterback do this. This is a great athlete. Danny Barrett recovers his own fumble, and he shows some determination on this. He said, hey, I gave up one turnover. I'm not about to give up another one.
Darryl Ford, the linebacker, found a path to the quarterback. Danny Barrett lost control of the football, but the Calgary quarterback was able to get it back. And unlike 1971, when he did get it back, the ground did not make him fumble. Jerry Corrick kicking from the end zone. It's a short kick. Picked up on the dead run, and this will draw a penalty flag. Pinball Clemens came flying up and alertly grabbed the football at the 25-yard line.
That may not be a penalty. Jerry Corrick was trying to recover that kick, and he's allowed inside that 5-yard zone.
There was a flag, though, and the officials will sort it out as to whether it was Corrick or someone else who was inside the 5-yard area.
I think they'll wipe it off, but Jerry Corrick can't wipe it off. He really took a hit.
Let's go to the sidelines, and here's Alfie.
Well, Lanny McDonald must be really torn today. Lanny, you're loved in Toronto, you're loved in Calgary. Where are your loyalties today?
There's only one place, that's Calgary. I wear the hat, I'm cheering for the Stamps all the way.
Have you ever played in any weather quite as freezing as these temperatures today?
No, these guys are crazy, but there's a lot of warm hearts here in Winnipeg. We're having a great time.
Lanny, thanks very much for your time. Enjoy the game. Back to you, Don.
All the kids, yeah.
Well, Lanny McDonald is enjoying the fact, as are all Calgarians, that the Stampeders at the moment are out in front, but the Argos are trying to change that. Matt Dunnigan for Gerald K. Smith. He got away from Carl Anthony, but is wrapped up by Matt Finlay.
They wanted to get the ball downfield. Matt's looking for David Williams in the end zone, but he can't do it. He's got to dump it off to Darryl K. Smith. This is one of the better athletes on the team for the Argos. He gets the ball, but it takes 3 people to bring him down. Almost didn't catch that ball. He caught the wrong end of the football. He got the back end of it.
A gain of close to 7 yards. It's 2nd and 3. Masati and the Rocket go wide left. Darryl Smith also moves out to the left. Williams lined up to the right side. Kevin Smelly, the lone back behind Dunnigan, gets the ball and is driven back.
Well, that's the second time on long yardage situations or semi-long yardage situations, over 4 yards to go, that they've gone with the running game. That's interesting. I wonder if that's Matt Dunnigan's arm. I wonder if he feels a bit hampered in his ability to throw. Yeah, they're just trying to get the ball out. It's a straight-ahead play. Shriko Zezakovic, he said,
So Lance Chomik will attempt a field goal from the 27-yard line. Paul Masati will hold. This time the kick is good as the Argos regain their 1-point lead with 6:09 remaining in the half. A hot air balloon floats in the sky near Winnipeg Stadium, and many of the spectators in attendance wish some of that hot air could be focused on them and directed their way under these -16-degree temperatures. It is a cool afternoon. Simeon on the sidelines, unable to make the reception.
Had he been able to make that reception, he had some green grass in front of him, and had Reggie Pleasant missed a tackle, it was a touchdown. Patience by Danny Barrett. He's getting the ball underneath. I think soon he's going to put that ball over top, because he's got the defense, the entire defense of Toronto, coming up to play the intermediate zone.
2nd and 10. The ball is at the 40-yard line. Toronto leads Calgary 11-10. Barrett is hauled down. Mike Campbell reached out with one hand and simply flipped Danny Barrett to the turf. We talked at the start of our telecast about how Mike Campbell has emerged as a defensive stalwart for the Argos this year. It was never more evident or apparent than on this play. With one hand, he grabbed him by the shoulder pad and pulled him down.
Well, Mike Campbell, he's a strong, aggressive, continuous rushing lineman, and he never stops. He never quits. He's always working, always in that quarterback's way.
Jerry Corrick certainly wants to improve upon his previous kick. It only traveled 5 yards, and this one is better. It bounces to the Rocket at the 5. He gets a bit of a hold out of the outside. Look out! He loses the football. Calgary recovers. A 68-yard return goes for naught. Darryl Hall hit the Rocket as he cut back when he found access to the outside, closed off by the kicker, Jerry Corrick. And the ball came loose, and Paul Platney recovered after that brilliant 68-yard return.
Well, the good news, great return. The bad news is he fumbled it at the end. I mean, he came in and just made everything happen at the point of attack. What a return by the Rocket.
1st and 10 Calgary. The Stampeders at their own 36. Barrett's pass is complete, and Sean Beals is stopped immediately at the 40-yard line by Don Wilson.
There again, Barrett's looking for the underneath receiver. They're trying to drive people deep, and they're getting a lot of room between the defensive line rush and the deep pass coverage. There's a lot of area in the middle.
2:10 remaining in the first half. On 2nd down, Barrett's pass is complete again. The ball comes loose. I believe that they're ruling that it was incomplete to Pee Wee Smith.
You wonder why that ball comes out. There's 2 reasons. The ball is extremely hard. The second reason is your fingers. The circulation in your fingers has an awful lot to do with how well you catch the ball. You see a lot of people, Pee Wee Smith that time caught it with his shoulder pad. You can't control it.
It looked for a moment as though the pass had been completed, but it was ruled that he never had total control. 3rd down punt, bounces to the Rocket. Waiting for it to bounce back towards the line of scrimmage. There's a penalty flag on the play again, but it may have been thrown against Jerry Corrick. Scott?
Well, Don, the rest of the Argonaut ownership entourage is in the warmth of the booth, but John Candy's decided to brave it in the great outdoors.
You're darn right, Scott. We're braving it out here. And,
what do you think of your team so far?
Well, we're playing terrific. You know, it's just tough back and forth. It seems the coverage is very tough. It's in our number, but ball's so cold to hold on to.
Well, it is cold here today, isn't it?
It's cold. It's bitter.
It's been a great week, though, in Winnipeg, hasn't it?
It's been a very exciting week. The people of Winnipeg should be very proud of what they did this week, and they really put on a great show.
Revitalized the cup. Would you agree?
We did indeed. Yeah, polished it up nicely.
Okay.
Thanks, John. It's wonderful. Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of the game.
Thanks for a great season.
Thank you.
Pass intended for David Williams, incomplete. Tucker had coverage on him.
And Matt Dunnigan had Kit Warnock all over him again, and you got to wonder how many hits Matt Dunnigan can take on that shoulder. David Williams trying to beat Tucker. Tucker's been on him all day. He's been covering him like a cheap suit.
You talked about Matt Dunnigan and how much he can take. When he walked back to the huddle, he appeared to be favoring that right arm.
Oh, he's a tough competitor, but that's a lot of hits.
Dunnigan's pass intended for Williams, underthrown. He didn't get a great deal of zip on that football. I'm wondering if that collarbone injury is causing him some difficulty right now. It appeared as though he had very little zip on the football on his throw.
Well, Kent Warnock came in and he just lassoed him around the neck, and then both of their weights came on that shoulder. Now they're looking at it. Dr. Jackson is going to take a good hard look at it, and I wouldn't be surprised at halftime to see Ricky Foggy.
1:35 remaining in the first half. 11-10. The Argos lead the Stampeders in the 79th Grey Cup game. Errol Tucker is the man trying to return for Calgary, and he's caught by Bruce Elliott back at the 23-yard line. Veteran Lloyd Fairbanks, 17 seasons in the Canadian Football League. He has played more games than any other active player, and yet this is his first Grey Cup game.
Oh, he was so happy to get to a Grey Cup game after 17 years. All the players called him the Marshal. They gave him a badge, and they all wore the deputy badges. AV brake and wheel alignments. Lloyd's, he calls it his real job, but he's a pretty good football player as well.
He's the oldest player in the Canadian Football League at 38, but he has indicated that he would like to come back again next year. Sideline pattern intended for Carl Bland, knocked down by Ed Berry. It will be 2nd and 10.
Ed Berry's getting wise to all that underneath passing. Ed Berry made a good break, and remember, he had the touchdown on an interception early in the ballgame. Lloyd is on Brian Warren, the top pass rusher for the Argos, and hey, he's doing a good job. Get out of here.
Stampeders with a veteran offensive line. Fairbanks is the oldest at 38, but they average over 32 years of age. Danny Barrett running, trying to get the first down. He is stopped short, and the Stampeders are forced to kick it away. They're looking at 3rd and 2. In the last 4 Grey Cup games, the team leading at the half has wound up losing the game.
One of the things both teams will have to do at halftime, they're going to have to change the jerseys they wear underneath their sweaters, their game sweaters, because that perspiration, that's not going to feel very good coming out in the 3rd quarter. They're going to have to get dry clothing on underneath.
Jerry Corrick has had some problems with his punting today. He was a late season addition to the Calgary Stampeders after the injury to Brent Matic. Matic was hurt on October 20th, the last time the Stampeders played the Argos at the Skydome.
You know, Corrick got to be able to kick a hard, cold football. I mean, he's had a lot of experience at that with Edmonton.
And, of course, Corrick with Edmonton in the 1987 Grey Cup game beat Toronto with a last-minute field goal of 47 yards, giving Edmonton a victory in one of the memorable Grey Cup games, one of the most exciting ever played. Penalty flag on this 3rd down punt. The Rocket fumbles the football. There's another penalty flag at the point where he was attempting to catch it. It would appear no yards is the call at that point against the Stampeders, but the initial flag was thrown at the line of scrimmage. That was only a 26-yard kick.
Oh my, it's offsides, and it's against the Argos. Maybe Corrick's trying to kick it away from the Rocket, and that could be causing him to shank the ball. He might be trying to place it. That happens to punters. When they try to place the ball, sometimes it doesn't go where you want it, and you get a terrible kick.
Just prior to the punt, Adam Rita had called a timeout. 1:06 remains in the first half. The Argos leading by a score of 11-10. Referee Ken Lazaruk is calling this one back. Let's listen.
The no yards penalty. Doesn't stand. No yards. Offside, Toronto. First down, Calgary.
Yeah, that's what you don't want to do. Whenever you have less than 5 yards to go for first down, don't make a mistake on defense in the kicking game, because that gives the other team added momentum. They get back out there on offense. That's like a turnover.
Well, the temperature remains the same, but the good news is the wind has decreased in velocity. And the wind is often more of a factor on a cold day than the actual temperature.
I think the wind is the factor when you get a cold day, particularly out here at Winnipeg Stadium. That wind has something to do with every ball game.
Stampeders retain possession. 1:06 remaining. The clock does not start until the ball is snapped. Barrett putting it in the air. And he was looking for Alan Pitts, who was being covered by Don Wilson, and the two of them exchange words. It will be 2nd and 10.
Well, we knew that Danny Barrett would put the ball up. We didn't know when, but this looks like the time. And Alan Pitts on an out and up. He goes up for the football. Wilson doesn't like the fact that he wasn't able to catch it. And they get a little tough at the end.
And as we see on the replay, it was Wilson complaining to the official and to Pitts that Pitts grabbed him by the face mask and threw him down.
He spiked his head is what he did.
2nd and 10, draw play, Keevan Jenkins, and Jenkins is stopped at the 41 with 54 seconds remaining in the half. So the Toronto Argonauts will get the football back as Calgary will be forced to kick. The Argos lead it by a score of 11-10.
Because of that pass, it didn't really waste that much time. The Argos have only taken about 5-10 seconds off of what they normally would have gotten the ball at.
In 1971, Calgary scored all of its points in the first half in their 14-11 triumph over the Toronto Argonauts. And you know, since 1971, every other team in the Canadian Football League has appeared in at least 3 Grey Cup games and won at least one. This is Calgary's first appearance since then. The Rocket trying to get to the outside, but good coverage on special teams with Alondra Johnson finishing the job.
I don't know what's more exciting for these fans, when the Rocket has a great return or when he doesn't get anything. I think they like the punt coverage better than when he gets a return.
Let's go down to Steve Armitage.
Don, I'd just spoken to Jerry Corrick. I asked him if he was angling those punts away from the Rocket. He said, no, I'm just trying to kick it. I'm having a tough time.
He has been having a tough time. His one punt traveling just 5 yards. Punting average of both kickers will be below their seasonal average in this afternoon's Grey Cup game. Matt Dunnigan can't find a receiver, runs the ball out to the 27-yard line with 33 seconds remaining on the clock.
That's not Matt Dunnigan at 100%. I mean, you could see that. Normally, Matt Dunnigan would get a first down in those situations. Watch the way they get up in the air. That has a Will Johnson's in his face. Warnick makes a great cut to come back around, and Shriko Zezakovic, he ties him up, puts him down.
Something Wally Buono does is rotate those 4 defensive linemen. He likes to swing Zezakovic in there to spell some of them off, and he moves them around.
There's your favorite.
The Rocket loses the football. Who's got it? The Argos retain possession.
Yeah, that's a great job of pursuit. They get the ball out to the Rocket, but there's 3 people around him. I mean, the blockers bring the people who are defending out with them, so there's 3 people around the Rocket. He's lucky it wasn't a fumble.
I think Blaine Schmidt may have got into that pile to recover the football.
Well, it was a fumble. Then he's lucky that his own, Blaine Schmidt, I mean, the big guy came out and recovered a fumble. That's the way to go, big guy. Blaine's in there for Chris Schultz. Excuse me, Don.
Ken Watson and Junior Thurman were in there to make contact with the Rocket. Wally Buono called a timeout with 11 seconds remaining in the half.
Wally Buono, being a former punter, he knows, make those guys punt.
Errol Tucker, the lone man back for the 3rd down kick. He takes it at the 45-yard line and then is forced out of bounds with still 11 seconds showing on the clock. Now it is going to move and tick off those seconds, bringing it down to 1 second remaining in the first half. They have had some difficulties throughout the day with the clock. It has not been functioning properly all afternoon. I imagine the clock, like the players, is a little cold.
Well, I'm sure it's cold out there, and if it hadn't been for Toronto's interception for a touchdown, it would have been all Calgary in this half.
This is the final play of the first half, and Danny Barrett simply drops to one knee to take that final second off the clock as the Calgary Stampeders, under the direction of Coach Wally Buono, head to the dressing room, trailing the Toronto Argonauts by a point.
Wally Buono's got to be feeling pretty good right now. They started out with that interception for a touchdown against them. They came from behind. Adam Rita, hey, they've been getting pressured with only 4 people defending against them. I wouldn't be surprised to see Foggy in the second half.
Mark McLaughlin preparing to kick off, and the second half is underway. The Rocket gets a couple of key blocks. And unlike his previous big return, he hangs on to the football before being stopped by Alondra Johnson, but he takes the ball all the way to the Calgary 35. A 44-yard return by the Rocket. Statistically, the Stampeders had the edge in the first half. 129 net yards to 51 for the Argos. That very first pass that Danny Barrett attempted was a key in the football game, as it was intercepted and returned for a touchdown by Ed Berry. Matt Dunnigan gets some protection, throws for Darrell K. Smith at the 30-yard line, and he makes the catch with Carl Anthony all over him.
Well, the Rocket put him in great field position, and then Matt Dunnigan responded. He came out, threw that ball, looked strong in throwing the football.
It's a gain of 6, make it 2nd and 4. The Rocket has certainly delighted the spectators today with a couple of big returns. However, one, he fumbled the ball. That time he hung on to the football. Calgary has passed 22 times, the Argos 15 times. Matt Dunnigan starting the second half with more success than he enjoyed in the first half in hitting his receivers, as he throws to David Williams for a Toronto first down.
Well, Earl Tucker knows he's got his work cut out for him. David Williams, 6'3". Tucker has to come up, make a good, solid tackle. Let him have the first down. Don't let him have a big play.
The Argos have thrown equally to the wide receivers and the slot backs, and Dunnigan looks to the end zone for a wide receiver, David Williams. And he was running with Earl Tucker, and Dunnigan's throw was just a little too far for him. It will be 2nd and 10.
Well, Matt did his pump fake again, and you got to think he might have been looking first for Darrell K. Smith, but Darrell K. was covered. Tucker stride for stride with David Williams. There was nothing there.
2nd and 10. The ball is at the 22 of the Calgary Stampeders. The Argos lead by a single point. It's 11-10. Second down pass. Dunnigan is hit from behind. The ball into the arms of Tim Cofield. Will Johnson hit Dunnigan from behind, and the ball bounced directly into the arms of Tim Cofield.
We talked about it at the beginning of the game, Don. What you have to do is be concerned with the ends of the Calgary Stampede, and Will Johnson knocked the ball up, and then Cofield's right there. Tim Cofield got the interception. Will Johnson has the speed to get around a blocker and still cause trouble. Tim Cofield kept his feet, got the rebound.
The Stampeders take over 1st and 10 from their own 31-yard line. Danny Barrett throws the screen over the middle to Keevan Jenkins, but there were 3 Argos in the vicinity, and they stopped the play after a pickup of about 4 yards. That's the first time this afternoon that Barrett has thrown a pass to one of his backs. Don Moen and Darrell Ford made the tackle. Tim Cofield in an ideal position to intercept the throw, as it was deflected when Dunnigan was hit by Will Johnson.
I think that's a little deceiving pass distribution, because Sapunjas has been a back in there.
Barrett looking deep. Pitts is open.
That's the play they've been looking for all day. They've been going short, going short. That's their bread and butter. Get that ball to Alan Pitts.
Larry Rickman on the sideline celebrating a 31-yard completion to Alan Pitts, who turned Carl Brazeley around to get into position to make the reception. The first catch of the day for the man who established a CFL record this year with 118 receptions.
Danny Barrett had a lot of time.
Toss to Keevan Jenkins. He cuts it to the 40-yard line. A pickup about 6 yards before being stopped by Chris Gaines and Rodney Harding.
That's what Coach Buono wanted. He wants that slashing running back to get in there. Just keep them honest. Just run enough to slow down that pass rush.
Wally Buono said that Keevan Jenkins is a cold weather back. He's the type of back who will run over you. They haven't used him much so far in the football game, but we may see more and more of number 23. This time Barrett throws over the middle for a first down. Sean Beals was inside the 35-yard line before being spun around and turned back, but it is a first down. He was caught by Chris Gaines.
Well, that's what Danny Barrett does well. He gets the ball downfield to Alan Pitts. Now when they come back, key first down was made by Beals coming underneath in a hide pattern. He came underneath Alan Pitts.
10:30 remaining in the third quarter. 11-10, Toronto leading Calgary. First and 10, Calgary. The ball at the 35-yard line. Barrett with good protection. Looks to the sidelines and he overthrows Carl Bland. It will be second and 10, Calgary, from the 35 of Toronto.
They changed up that time. They got good coverage in the secondary. Barrett couldn't get to anybody. Finally, the coverage got, the pressure got to him because the coverage was so good. He should have been able to get rid of that ball, but there were people all over the receivers.
Second and 10 from the 35-yard line. Three receivers wide to the right. Barrett rolls to his right. He had to dump it off. He had Brian Warren in his face, and just as he threw, Brian Warren brought him down. So the Toronto Argonauts defensively come up with a couple of key plays after Barrett had moved the Stampeders into scoring position.
Well, Danny Barrett went outside away from both running backs. You got to think that he wanted his blockers to be in front of him, so it was sort of a busted play.
Mark McLaughlin will be attempting a 42-yard field goal. His previous field goal was a 37-yarder. He was born in Liverpool, grew up in Winnipeg, played his high school football here, and the kick is wide. Carl Brazeley will concede a single point. 9:36 remains in the third quarter, and this game is tied at 11.
Well, Martin Short and I are braving the cold together here on the sidelines. Martin, any truth that you're going to buy the Hamilton Tiger Cats?
It's just a rumor right now, but I'm passing it from person to person, and they seem to accept it.
What do you think about the weather here today?
It's definitely brisk, but it's great football weather.
Don,
convincing.
Don, back up to the booth.
I have to disagree with Martin. I don't think it's so great for football. Maybe for ice hockey or Winter Olympics or something like that, but it's just a little too brisk for football today.
It hasn't bothered Alondra Johnson. I mean, he came in and made a nice tackle, but the two amigos down on the field, I mean, they don't mind that weather, do they?
Well, the players all week said, let's not discuss the weather. We have to play in it. Let's forget about it. And it appears the players during the course of the game have attempted to forget about it, but I'm sure at the conclusion of the game they will have some comments. On second down, Dunnigan looking for a receiver, being pursued, gets away from Finlay, and Dunnigan tried to stay in bounds to pick up the first down, but he's going to be stopped short by Darrell Hall.
That's a typical Matt Dunnigan play. I mean, he's out around the corner, but he sees he's not going to make the first down. Normally you'd see a quarterback go out of bounds, not Matt Dunnigan. What a competitor. That injured shoulder doesn't seem to be bothering him. He looked a lot better coming out the second half. He put some zip on the ball, and there's nothing wrong with his legs.
Harold Tucker and Pee Wee Smith are back for Hank Olisic's third down kick. Pee Wee Smith takes it at the 32. And he is stopped as he gets to the 43 by Jim Kardash. 8:15 is the time remaining in the third quarter.
No warm owner's box for Larry Rickman. He's with me on the sideline. Larry, your team fell behind early, but they're right back in this one.
They sure are. Again, another exciting game for the fans. I mean, this place is packed. A lot of excitement for Calgary. A lot of excitement for Canada.
You know, the noisiest fans in the stands are those from Calgary country.
Oh, it's wonderful. All these people here know that they're rooting for the Western team, and you know, they all got their fingers crossed.
Don?
Well, the Calgary Stampeders trailed early, but they've been fighting back, and they have been much more effective offensively. And it's another Barrett to Alan Pitts pass, producing a first down at the 50-yard line.
You hear so much about the six-pack, but hey, this is just good football. This is what Wally Buono said they were going to do. We're not going to do a lot of fancy things, not going to do a lot of tricks. We're going to do what we do best. And they blocked Campbell this time, got good protection.
First and 10, the ball is at the 50 of the Argos. Backside pressure from Moan, the pass complete to Carl Bland. Stopped by Don Wilson at the 21 with 7:24 remaining in the third quarter.
Oh, did Danny Barrett take a hit? I mean, that's the blind side, and Donnie Moan got him right in the middle of the back. Barrett hung in there enough to get the ball out to Carl Bland, and this guy could break it all the way. If it's not for Wilson, that could have been a touchdown.
28 yards on the completion to Carl Bland. First and 10 Calgary. The Stampeders at the Toronto 21-yard line. 6:58 remaining in the third quarter. 11-11 is the score. Barrett was waving Pitts downfield, but Pitts could not escape the coverage, and Darryl Ford made the tackle on the Calgary quarterback.
Darryl Ford was on a read blitz. What happens is if his back blocks, then Darryl Ford is freed up to rush. And that's what he did. He rushed the passer after his back did the blocking. Danny Barrett didn't see Ford initially.
He was signaling, however, to Alan Pitts to go deeper, but Darryl Ford prevented Barrett from having enough time to send Alan Pitts deeper down the sidelines. Pass over the middle to Keevan Jenkins. He is wrapped up immediately at the 21, again by Darryl Ford, the player who led the CFL in tackles this season.
Calgary's given up more sacks than any team in the Canadian Football League this year, but it doesn't disturb their philosophy. Their offensive philosophy is, hey, make it up on the next down. They made it up. They didn't get a first down, but they're in field goal position.
What a job Danny Barrett has been doing under these cold conditions. He has passed for 218 yards. Matt Dunnigan, with all the offensive weapons that he has to work with, has only been able to pick up 49 passing yards. McLaughlin will attempt a 27-yard field goal. It's up. It's good. 5:35 remaining in the third quarter, and I'm sure 14-11 brings back some memories of 20 years ago. That was the final score when Calgary defeated Toronto in the Grey Cup game in Vancouver.
Well, it's a perfect hold, and that's so important in a kicking game. He spun the laces. McLaughlin gets it up.
Stampeders playing in a Grey Cup game for the first time since 1971. They don't have a great Grey Cup history in comparison to the Argos.
You know, that was a great picture, and the cameraman, they got to be cold out there, but if they could get us good shots like that last one, they must not be that cold.
14-11, Calgary leading the exact score after 3 quarters in 1971, and of course that was also the final score. Pinball on the sidelines, gets a couple of key blocks, and he brings the ball back to the 37. The Argos on special teams have had great success, but they've lost the football deep in Calgary territory. Scott?
Down on the sidelines, I'm with Argonaut owner Bruce McNall and one of his guests at today's game, well-known Canadian and writer, actor, etc., Alan Thicke, who's freezing. Are you freezing?
Popsicle, that's what I am. No, I'm not freezing. I'm from Kirkland Lake. We put on the suntan lotion when it gets this warm.
That's right. And I understand that you have seen more Grey Cups in your history than all the Argonaut owners combined.
All these owners combined, yes. And I have a scrapbook that goes back to 1956 of the Hamilton Tiger Cats, which is remarkable because that's before I was born.
That qualifies him, does it not, Bruce, to be a CFL owner? Should he not buy the Tiger Cats?
I think he's a likely candidate here for a lot of teams. The Tiger Cats is certainly one. The scrapbook goes back far enough, and I'm going to try to talk him into it here.
It's getting tense here in this game, isn't it?
It is. It's a close game. Looks like the defense is going to have to win it, and something will get done here, I hope, this drive here.
Okay, some of your money players have got to get going here.
You're not kidding. Well, you know, it's cold, a little tough out here, but let's hope they can excite the fans a little bit, hold on the ball, and win the game at the end here.
You look great with the jacket open, too, Bruce. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, it'll be cool, you know? Thanks. Okay, Scott.
On 2nd and 11, Dunnigan overthrows David Williams in the end zone. I wonder what another David Braley, thinks of all the suggestions about potential buyers of his football team. Martin Short, Alan Thicke.
Hey, the price has gone up. I mean, what does he think? He's happy. Happier than Matt Dunnigan anyway. Matt was trying to get that ball on a crossing route. Calgary defense held up, so then he went put it up top. I think he just threw it away.
A 44-yard field goal try by Lance Chomik. If successful, the score would again be tied. It's wide. It goes for a single point. 4:12 remains in the third quarter. Just 2 points separate the Stamps and the Argos. Welcome back to Winnipeg Stadium for this 79th Grey Cup game, and we say hello to the Canadian Armed Forces watching and listening around the world to the Grey Cup. And members of the forces, the Snowbirds, were part of the opening ceremonies led by Major Bob Steffen. And they are now on the sidelines and watching the action from field level. I think they had a much more comfortable and perhaps a better view when they were about 500 feet above Winnipeg Stadium as part of those opening ceremonies.
It might have been comfortable for them, but it wasn't too comfortable for me seeing them come in that low.
Keevan Jenkins, the ball carrier. Stopped by Rodney Harding. Penalty flag on 2nd down, over the middle for Pee Wee Smith. He can't hang on.
Well, that ball was right into his hands.
A procedure call against Calgary. The penalty will be declined by the Argos as the pass fell incomplete.
Legal procedure. Calgary 66. Declined.
Veteran tackle Lloyd Fairbanks guilty of the illegal procedure call. 3:28 remaining in the third quarter. 14-12. The Stampeders lead the Argos. The Rocket and the Pinball are both back for Jerry Corrick's third down kick. The Rocket takes it. Carl Anthony was in too close. A penalty flag thrown immediately. He was only a couple of yards away from the Rocket, so the Argo field position will improve considerably.
Well, the returns have been the best thing about the Argos attack. I mean, they've had 4 great returns, 3 of them by the Rocket, 1 by Pinball. I guess that's the only way to stop him. Go down and get a no yards penalty. That's only 15 yards.
29 yards, the length of the Jerry Corrick kick. And the wind doesn't appear to be affecting the kicks.
No yards. Calgary number 19. First down, Toronto.
I don't think it's the wind, Don. I think what it is that ball is like lead. I mean, it is so cold, that ball is heavier.
The Argos have a first down at the 47 of the Stampeders. 3:09 with the clock running and winding down in the third quarter. Dunnigan fakes inside, steps up, throws deep for Darryl Smith. He's got a touchdown. Well, if there was any concern about Dunnigan's ability to put some zip in the football, he certainly disproved them right there with a 47-yard pass to Darryl K. Smith, and he rifled that one down the seam.
Well, that's that same thing we talked about, the pump fake, then put it right down the middle. We said Matt Dunnigan looked better the second half. He had a little more zip on the ball. I don't know what they did at halftime. Maybe he got hypnotized, But he came back out in this quarter, and he looks like he can zing that football. Darrell Kay wide open.
With one flip of the arm, Matt Dunnigan doubles his passing yardage for the game, hitting Darrell Smith for the major score. Lance Chomick adds the point after, and the Toronto Argos move ahead of the Calgary Stampeders 19-14.
That was one of the few times Matt Dunnigan had the time. He had protection. He looked over the field, did the pump fake, and now he puts it down to actually the guy who's done it for them all year, Darrell K. Smith. Whenever they've needed a big play, they go to Darrell K. But look at the pass protection. Schultz is back in there. He said, hey, there's nothing wrong with me. I can block. And he does. Dan Ferrone came out and helped him. Hey, he's lifting his right arm, too. That's supposed to be the bad arm.
Matt Dunnigan celebrating a pass completion to Darrell K. Smith for the major score that has moved the Argos back in front of the Calgary Stampeders with 2:59 remaining in the third quarter.
Everyone talks about Matt Dunnigan's injuries and how many games he hasn't played, but hey, when he has played, he's been 6-2 this year.
Pee Wee Smith moves up to take the ball at the 26-yard line. He ran into a couple of his own people as he's brought down at the 47. On the sidelines, here's Steve Armitage.
Don, I've just been speaking to the training staff, the Calgary Stampeders. You see Danny Barrett going back into the game. He has pulled a quad muscle in his left thigh. He's in a little bit of pain, but he is going to play. He's going to stay into the game.
Well, we saw Danny Barrett limping as he came back into the game. Barrett says that John Hufnagel has done a tremendous job in helping him read defenses, giving him some good study habits, teaching him to be patient. Hufnagel, a former quarterback with both Saskatchewan and Winnipeg, an assistant coach with the Stampeders. Barrett's pass, as he attempted to go to the sidelines, knocked down. There's John Hufnagel.
Yeah, and I know what he's saying now. The only reason Rodney Harding knocked that ball down is that they didn't block him low. Andy McVeigh's got to get in there and block him lower. Watch Rodney Harding get his hands up. I don't think Hufnagel or Barrett like that.
That's something a back has to do. Make sure that that man rushing can't get his hands up to prevent the quarterback from getting the pass away. It was intended for Alan Pitts. Incomplete. He was being covered by safety David Bavell.
And Bavell's telling him that he had some rabbit ears. I think that's what Bavell's trying to say. He said, hey, Alan Pitts, you heard me coming. That's why you laid off of that football. Danny Barrett delivered it a little bit high, but Pitts missed.
I think he may have lost the football in the sun, because the sun is setting now, and he was looking directly into it. As we see Mike Campbell being prevented from getting to the quarterback by Ken Moore. Pinball takes the Jerry Corrick punt on the dead run, and he is stopped as he gets to the 47-yard line, and then a couple of players come in late into the pile. That was only a 22-yard kick with a 6-yard run back. Right now, let's join Alfie Schlegel.
Well, the Argo fans are few and far between, but these guys definitely stand out in the crowd. Guys, you love your Argos.
This is the greatest football league in the whole world, and the Argos are going to win it. Last possession.
Hey, these guys love their Argos. They're very optimistic about their chances. John, back up to you.
Alfie, you're a brave lady to venture in among some of those football fans this afternoon. But they are enjoying themselves here at Winnipeg Stadium, and wherever you're looking in on the CBC television network, we hope you're enjoying the action. Matt Dunnigan throwing over the middle to the pinball. This will be about 1.5 yards, maybe 2 short of the first down, as he's stopped by Ken Watson. Steve referred to the problem that Danny Barrett was having, and they have now taped that left leg. And Barrett, it appears, will be able to continue, but he will be completing the game, obviously, in some pain.
Well, you need the legs to throw, just like you need the legs to serve a tennis ball. Same thing. You got to use your whole body to throw that football.
Kevin Smelly on second down gets to the 50 of the Stampeders. He has a Toronto first down.
Danny Barrett also needs his legs to get out from that rush. And I think when Darryl Ford came up, that's probably when he hurt it. He didn't expect Ford to come from that outside position. Looked like he tried to put on a little spurt of speed. That could have been what pulled his quadricep.
53 seconds remaining in the third quarter. 19-14. Toronto leading Calgary. On first down, Dunnigan trying to set up the screen with the pinball. Dunnigan was under a little heat, a little pressure, and he had to try and dump it off, and the pinball couldn't make the catch. Most of the week, the pinball was walking around Winnipeg with the aid of crutches. He was unable to put a great deal of weight on his foot as a result of the turf toe. And as Steve Armitage discovered when he talked to him yesterday on Sports Weekend, the knee has also been a problem.
Well, when you got Kent Warnock and you got Will Johnson, 6'8", coming at you, I mean, it's hard to find the pinball. He's only about 5'5".
Back to the live action. Dunnigan throwing deep again for David Williams. Incomplete. He was covered by Errol Tucker. Dunnigan had both Tucker and Darrell K. Smith going deep. He opted to go for his wide receiver, and he couldn't make the catch. Steve Taylor is warming up at the Calgary bench, an indication perhaps that Coach Wally Buono is planning on making the quarterbacking change.
Well, Matt Dunnigan had the blitz on that time. The protection held up, but that coverage was excellent by Calgary.
Third down kick by Hank Olisic with 15 seconds remaining in the third quarter. Pee Wee waits for it, and then he's caught by Bruce Elliott. The first man downfield, and a man who has excelled on Argo special teams this year, and he makes the tackle at the 15-yard line.
I think the war of the special teams is being won by the coverage of Toronto. They haven't had that same coverage on Calgary's side of the ball. So far, Toronto's been holding those good return people of Calgary in check.
And Adam Rita told us that the special teams would be a key in the football game. He said that they're almost a mirror image of each other.
Both teams well coached on special teams, and they both have returners that can go all the way.
Well, I'm glad to see that Bruce McNall has at least put on a toque. He had his coat wide open a little earlier, but he is now wearing a toque, and Danny Barrett goes down in the grasp of several, including Rodney Harding, and that's the final play of the third quarter.
Here's to the everyday things that end up being everything. Here's to all things simple, with casual clothing and footwear from Marks.
The Toronto Argonauts leading by 5 as we start the fourth quarter at Winnipeg Stadium. 2nd and 16 for the Calgary Stampeders. Danny Barrett remains in at quarterback, throwing for Alan Pitts. It's intercepted. Reggie Pleasant, who plays the right corner, picks it off. Ed Berry opened the game, picking one off on the left side. Pleasant brings this one back to the 12-yard line. The second time today that Danny Barrett has been intercepted, a 27-yard return by Reggie Pleasant.
Well, you got to think that one got away from him. I think Harold Hallman had something to do with it. Maybe that wrapped leg had another to do with it. But that ball isn't near the intended receiver, Reggie Pleasant. He's just back there playing center fielder. Hallman got in there, and he just disturbed him enough to make that ball sail.
The Argos now with a tremendous opportunity to really take control of the football game. They are 1st and 10 from the Calgary 12-yard line. Dunnigan throws to the end zone, incomplete. He was looking for Darrell K. Smith, but Dunnigan was under a little pressure from Kent Warnock.
Good coverage. Warnock came in and had him at the ankles, just enough to disturb him. Danny Barrett, he's talking it over. He wants to get back in there. You know, the last time he threw an interception, he came back and played extremely well. Of course, he didn't have that bad leg, but he doesn't look like he's hurting all that much.
Talking with Gilbert Renfro and Steve Taylor, the backup quarterbacks. On second down, Paul Masadi, end zone. Has he got it? No, he could not control the ball as he came down. Watson was defending against Masadi, the two of them battling in the air for the football, and Masadi could not control it as he came down.
Well, Masadi has made big plays all year, and this is one of the patent Masadi plays when they need it. When they're down around the goal line, he usually comes up with a big play. Ken Watson played it perfectly, just knocked the ball out, reaching up over his head, and if Calgary comes back, Ken Watson will have had a lot to do with it.
Lance Chomik with a 19-yard field goal attempt. It's good. As the Argos improve their advantage to 8 points with 13:47 remaining in the fourth quarter. Fans at Winnipeg Stadium enjoying the action, and although the Calgary Stampeders have a statistical edge, the Toronto Argonauts lead 22-14. A couple of turnovers have produced points for the Toronto Argonauts. A first quarter interception, the interception by Reg Pleasant in the fourth quarter, resulting in a field goal. In 1971, the Stampeders, in their last Grey Cup appearance, defeated the Argos despite having just 8 first downs. The Argos were statistical winners that day, but lost the football game. Today, the Stampeders have a statistical edge, but they trail by 8. Kevan Jenkins on this kickoff return. Pretty good field position for the next offensive series, lugging it back 31 yards to the 52. First and 10 Calgary with 13:41 remaining. Danny Barrett remains at the controls of the Stampeder offense.
Danny Barrett's had almost as many interceptions in this Grey Cup game as he's had all year, and Calgary doesn't turn the ball over that often. In fact, they're first in the Canadian Football League in takeaway giveaways.
Ed Barry is the injured Toronto Argonaut. And it's strange, when we talked about takeaways, giveaways with Wally Buono yesterday, he said we've done an excellent job in that area. And today, the interceptions and fumbles have produced 11 Argonaut points.
And Wally Buono, it wouldn't be happy with that statistic. I think he's happy with the way his offense has moved. I think he's happy with the way the defense has done a good job. But I think what's kept the Argos in the game, other than that long bomb by Matt Dunnigan, has been their special teams and 2 key interceptions.
Wally Buono, in his 2 years as coach of the Stampeders, with a record of 22-13-1. And in the broadcast booth, although we are protected from the wind, with the windows open, it is a little cool here as well.
We're protected from the wind.
Can I pat you on the back?
That window is open. Who's protected?
However, the fans at Winnipeg Stadium are certainly enjoying themselves, as they have all week. It has been a great Grey Cup festival, and the city of Winnipeg is to be congratulated for the job it has done. There were many skeptics across the country who doubted Winnipeg's ability to hold this 79th Grey Cup game, but I think the city, the volunteers, have proven them all wrong.
Well, Don, that convention center, every night, it's been sold out, and the people have been having a great time. Unfortunately, our hotel is full of Saskatchewan people. They've been having a great time, too.
First and 10 Calgary. The ball is at the 51-yard line. Jim Rockford into the ball game now with Reg Pleasant injured. Dave Van Bellingham also in the ball game as the Argos go with a 6 defensive back package. It was intended on the far side for Pee Wee Smith. It falls incomplete. We remind you this program is copyrighted and strictly for the private use of our audience. Any reproduction, retransmission, distribution, or exhibition in whole or in part without the expressed written consent of the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation is strictly prohibited. On second down, Danny Barrett looking to the sidelines again. This time he finds Carl Bland, and Bland gets to the 50 of the Argos, but he is about 2 yards shy of a first down. He is stopped by Harold Hallman.
Mike Campbell was right in there on Danny Barrett again. And Danny doesn't have the mobility, but he gets that ball out to Carl Bland. And look what he does, coming back to the inside. He breaks some tackles. It'll be close. I don't think Calgary is going to go for it. With the great returns that Toronto has had, Calgary might be better to go for it.
On third down, Jerry Korick had a little difficulty handling that snap from center, but gets away his best kick of the ball game, chasing the Rocket back to the 12, and with 4 Stampeders in his face, he steps out of bounds. 12:50 remains in the game. The Rocket has had 2 big kick returns today. He didn't have a chance to run the last one back, and he was also penalized. He took the ball and stepped out of bounds, and he had an exchange and threw the ball, resulting in an unsportsmanlike call. Dan Wicklum was the player he threw the ball at, and you'll recall the incident earlier in the year in September at McMahon Stadium in Calgary when Wicklum's hit on the Rocket resulted in a concussion. So the Argos are back at their own 6-yard line. Deep throw for the Rocket, and he can't catch up with it. He was being covered by Errol Tucker. Dunnigan again used that fake and then went deep for the Rocket. Tried to break the game open with number 25 flying downfield.
And Matt Dunnigan paid the price. The Rocket has got great speed. I mean, he is down. He's past everybody. The ball was hung up there, and the reason the ball hung up was that Shriko Zezekovic came in and knocked Matt Dunnigan up in the air. I mean, Matt Dunnigan had to throw the ball when he was almost perpendicular. That gave the defense time to react.
2nd and 10 from the 6-yard line. Dunnigan in trouble. He decides to run. He is going to be 2 yards shy, maybe only 1 of a first down, but in this position, I would doubt that the Argos would take a chance.
Now, Will Johnson was in there, and he come back out of there limping. Matt Dunnigan had to come out and break loose, but there once again, Zezekovic turned it back in, and he gave Caulfield and Stu Laird a chance to come back in and make the tackle.
Talking with Coach Adam Rita yesterday, he said of all the players he has seen who have been described as burners, the only legit 4-2 runner he has ever encountered on a football field is the Rocket.
Yeah, and he said he timed him, so he believes that time. I think it was in regards to Tim Caulfield was supposed to have run a little bit more than a 4-3.
Will Johnson, the injured player, being treated by Pat Clayton with 11:54 left in the game. Hank Alisic stands at his own goal line for this 3rd down kick. Alisic has already won 6 Grey Cups. He'd like to make it 7 in this 1991 season. Not a good kick by Alisic. It goes out of bounds at the 32-yard line.
Did you hear the smack on that ball? I mean, that football, it must weigh a ton. I mean, I heard it from up here, and you would have thought it was going to go down about 50, 60 yards, and it just died.
16 yards, the length of the Hank Alisic kick, and of course, with the ball going out of bounds, there was no run back. Will Johnson apparently has a bruised thigh, but the report from the Calgary bench is that he will go back in.
Well, they need him.
1st and 10, the ball at the 31 of the Argos. 11:19 remaining in the game. Danny Barrett back to throw. Sapunjas has got it.
There's the guy, the improbable guy to make the big plays. You got a field full of talent. You got receivers that can run all over the place. And who do they throw it to? Dave Sapunjas. And he runs after he catches the ball.
A gain of 18 for Dave Sapunjas. It's Calgary 1st and 10. The ball is at the 12. Barrett looks to the corner. Pitts. Touchdown. horse that gallops up and down the sidelines at McMahon Stadium to celebrate every Calgary touchdown. In action here at Winnipeg Stadium as Alan Pitts takes the throw into the end zone.
Carl Bland did the clearing. Alan Pitts did the rest. You want a steady character. You look at Danny Barrett. Look at Matt Dunnigan. Two quarterbacks that seem to be able to overcome all the adversity, not only in this ball game, but in their entire careers.
Danny Barrett to Alan Pitts and the convert by Mark McLaughlin, and we've got a one-point ball game with 10:39 remaining in this 79th edition of the Grey Cup Classic here at Winnipeg Stadium.
And Dave Sapunjas, our hero again, he's in there on Brian Warren, making sure that in that six-pack they don't get the pass rush. And watch Danny Barrett's reaction. He said, hey, I've been down and I've been up. I'd rather be up.
And David Sapunjas, who played at Western Ontario and caught an 18-yard pass to put the ball in scoring position for the completion to Alan Pitts, has made a number of key catches this afternoon and might be one of those candidates for MVP honors here at Winnipeg Stadium. He sometimes is the forgotten man in the Calgary passing scheme. The Rocket looks for a hole. If he gets to the outside this time, he's gone.
Goodbye.
The Rocket delivers. The $1,000,000 man provides cause for celebration among the Toronto Argonaut owners. An 87-yard kickoff return. The Rocket, with a late punt return touchdown on October 20th, defeated the Calgary Stampeders, and Bruce McNall, who made the investment in the Rocket, is going to get a return perhaps today at Winnipeg Stadium. 87 yards on this kickoff run back by the Rocket. Once he got outside of Junior Thurman, there's no way Mark McLaughlin was going to catch him.
The thing that the Rocket will do is he'll see the seam, and when he sees a seam, I mean, it is over. I mean, he takes that seam and puts on the afterburners. There's nobody that can catch him. I mean, you can't catch the Rocket with a kicker.
Lance Chomick adds the point after as the Argos respond quickly to the Calgary touchdown. 87 yards for the Rocket. And with the job he has done this afternoon, he's another candidate for one of those awards that will be presented.
Well, according to my calculations, that is the fourth big return by the Rocket. But the acceleration, the burst that he puts on when he sees there's a seam, when he sees the opening, he's got a tremendous burst, and then pure flat-out speed takes him the rest of the way.
Well, a snowball falls close to the Rocket, but even that can't prevent him from celebrating. A kickoff return for a touchdown, and now he moves to the bench to enjoy some of the warmth as provided by the propane heater. And for Raghib Ismail, that is a Grey Cup record, the longest kickoff return ever, 87 yards, the length of his run back. 29-21, 10:26 remaining. Ball was touched by the Stampeders, recovered by Keith Costello. Keevan Jenkins came racing up on the kickoff, looking as though he was going to field the ball. He let it bounce, but it touched him. And Keith Costello was there to grab it.
Pee-wee Smith didn't have a chance for it. What happened? Keevan, I'm surprised he was that deep, and they've been kicking those pop-ups the whole game. And it got a piece of Keevan. Pee-wee wasn't able to get there.
So the Argos, with 10:14 remaining, have an opportunity to increase their 8-point advantage. Incomplete, intended for the pinball. He was being covered by Matt Finlay. It will be 2nd and 10.
It's interesting, in this football game, we're seeing more passes underneath. I mean, you got all of that speed out there on both sides. The great wideouts, Darrell K. Smith, Alan Pitts, all those fast receivers, and yet the consistent offensive plays have been the underneath routes, dumping the ball off.
Wally Buono has to be concerned about the number of errors his team has committed. Fumbles, mishandling the ball on kicks, and of course 2 interceptions. They were a +20 in the giveaway takeaway category this season. Deep throw, touchdown Masadi. Masadi jumped up and hauled the ball in front of Ken Watson. Both Masadi and Darrell K. Smith were down at the goal line, and Masadi went up to haul it in.
Well, we talked about it before when Masadi didn't get that pass that was sent to Kent. When Kent Watson knocked it down, we said that's what happens. Masadi makes those plays. He loves that end zone, and what an unlikely hero from Acadia. I mean, that is a big play in this ball game.
With 9:41 remaining, the Argos now lead 35-21.
And you want to talk about character studies. This guy has to have character. Matt Dunnigan injured all week, injured all season practically, and he's coming back with a fine ball game.
Lance Chomick adds the point after. And the Toronto Argonauts very quickly after the Stampeders moved within a single point have now taken a 15-point lead. 9:41 is the time remaining in this 79th edition of the Grey Cup game.
So much for statistics, Don. I don't think Matt Dunnigan is worried at all about statistics now. He's had some excellent throws. And hey, you only need a couple when you can throw the ball like Matt. That's just going up and bringing the ball down as though it's your own. And we've seen Masadi do that most of the year. I mean, this is a busted play. There shouldn't be two, David Williams or Masadi. Somebody's wrong, but it doesn't matter because Masadi brought it down.
The end result is all, I suppose, that really counts.
And Matt Dunnigan saying, see, I'm going to win a Grey Cup. I told you I wasn't hurt that bad. I'm going to play.
We showed you the statistic about the 1971 Grey Cup game.
That's for you, Stony Creek. That's for you too, baby.
Where the Stampeders won with only 7 first downs. The Argos only have 7 first downs so far in this game. Pee-wee Smith tackled by J.P. Esquerdo as he brings the ball back to the 32. Once again, let's join Alfie Schlegel.
Thanks, Don. If you remember at the top of the show, I was up here in this position. It's the last seats in the house, but Les, you've survived.
Great time, great time. You don't get any colder this far north. Say hi to everybody, having a great game, and go Bombers, go.
Hey, it's still chilly up here, but we're having a great time. Back to you, Don.
Alfie, that is a long climb up into the back row of the North End stands. 2 touchdowns within 45 seconds. David Sapunjas on the reverse. The Statue of Liberty play gets a first down, Calgary.
Well, there's the guy we've been seeing so much of is David Sapunjas. They got the 6th receiver. What they do is Danny Barrett comes up, he pump fakes, and then they bring Sapunjas back around on a statue play, and that gives them the opportunity to change up.
Back to the live action. Darryl Ford knocked down the pass. It will be 2nd and 10. 8:57 remaining.
There's a lot of time for Calgary. I mean, they've come from behind many times this year, and they strike quickly.
Danny Barrett passes complete for a first down at the 50-yard line. Wally Buono applauds. Carl Bland taking the ball to the 50, 1st and 10.
You're probably wondering, where are the defenders? Well, when you've got the speed of a Carl Bland, they have a tendency to lay off, let him make his cut.
Pass is complete to Alan Pitts. He was tackled immediately at the 45-yard line by Carl Brazeley. You talked about striking quickly. The Toronto Argonauts struck for 2 touchdowns. The 87-yard kickoff return by the Rockets, and the pass to Paul Masadi within 45 seconds.
Well, their kickoff return team has given up some big plays.
Bland on the receiving end of another throw and another Calgary first down, with Reggie Pleasant stopping him, but not before he got to the 30.
There's Carl Bland pushing off. He gets Reggie Pleasant back, and then he comes back for the football.
The Stampeders have certainly, as Joe pointed out, displayed the ability this season to come from behind. They did it in their semifinal win over the BC Lions, and again in the dramatic Western final against the Edmonton Eskimos. Carl Bland has been a favorite target on this drive. He takes it out of bounds. Forced out by corner Reggie Pleasant.
Well, aside from the 2 interceptions that Barrett has thrown, the rest of the time he's given a clinic in how to throw the football versus zone coverage, how to throw it versus man coverage. They're in a hurry-up offense.
7:12, the time remaining in the game. Barrett's pass knocked down at the line of scrimmage, and Brian Warren thought he was going to pick that ball off as it hung up in the frigid Manitoba weather.
Danny Barrett doesn't throw many sidearm passes, and it's interesting how many knockdowns the Argos have had. And I think they must be trying to get their hands up right at the time when Barrett starts to deliver the ball. They must have worked on it. They've been doing extremely well. It's their best pass defense.
Matt Dunnigan has not changed his number, but he is having some difficulties with his helmet, so he is wearing number 26 while his own is being repaired. Third and a yard. Keevan Jenkins inside the 15.
That's what Wally Buono terms a slashing back. And Wally made a good statement to the press. He said, you know, I don't like those finely tuned athletes. I like those short, fat guys because they can play on a hard surface.
.649 remaining. 1st and 10. Complete. And Bland again inside the 5, close to another first down.
It's tough on the defense of Toronto because they're trying to determine whether or not they should defend deep or to watch out for Alan Pitts coming deep. When Bland goes deep, Alan Pitts is underneath. When Alan Pitts goes deep, Bland is underneath.
23 Calgary first downs, just 7 for the Argos. The Argos lead by 15. As we mentioned earlier, in 1971, the Argos dominated statistically. Calgary had just 8 first downs.
Well, you know they'll be man-to-man down on the goal line, and Danny Barrett knows that.
2nd and less than a yard. Barrett keeps, and he has a first down, so the Stampeders will have 3 cracks at putting it in the end zone.
6 minutes seems like an eternity, particularly for the Calgary offense. I mean, they can score in 6 minutes. They can score a bunch of points.
1st and goal for Calgary. The ball is at the Toronto 2-yard line. Danny Barrett has to throw this one away. He was under tremendous pressure, and he simply threw that one to the sidelines and out of bounds. The closest receiver to it was Alan Pitts, but he got some heat up the middle as he dropped back trying to set up.
He certainly did. Harold Hallman is the guy that comes up side, and what he just beat 2 blockers actually, and Hallman put the pressure on him. Barrett had to throw it away. So you watch the pressure that he's getting on those 2 people. Danny Barrett doesn't have anywhere to go but to put that ball up.
Hallman was in his face extremely quickly.
Right between 2 blockers.
Now the short yardage offense comes out for Calgary. Barrett fakes, he's under pressure. Campbell and Gaines came through, and Gaines got to him. I'm a little surprised that the Stampeders opted to throw the football from the 2-yard line.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a run as well, but nobody on the Argos team did. I mean, Gaines came right in. He didn't even buy the fake. The play fake meant nothing. to the Argo defense. Danny Barrett comes off the play fake. All it did was hold Barrett, and now he can't avoid Chris Gaines coming in.
Chris Gaines makes the sack. The Stampeders are going after it on third down. 4:57 remaining. Remember, they have to put it in the end zone. Incomplete. Intended for Sapunjas, and the Toronto Argonauts will take over as the Stampeders lose the ball on downs. The Argos have scored 17 of their 36 points in this fourth quarter. The big play, the 87-yard kickoff return for a touchdown after the Stampeders had moved within a single point.
Well, the guy who made a big play was Chris Gaines, and that's a guy that's probably going to retire after this year. He's got a degenerative ankle.
He's had surgery on his ankle 5 times, and doctors have indicated that if he continues to play, he could become crippled by the time he's 40. So he has indicated this will be his final game, and his Argo teammates have dedicated this football game to him. And number 38, the man affectionately referred to as Jethro, has played a solid game defensively, and what a play he made to sack Danny Barrett on 2nd and goal from the 2-yard line.
And he's the spokesman of the team. He's got a little bit of a rap special that he does for the rest of the ball club.
.352 the time remaining. Matt Dunnigan on 2nd down, pumps, throws deep down the sidelines for the Rocket, incomplete. Covered by Junior Thurman. Some of the Argos come off the bench to complain to the official that the Rocket was interfered with, but there is no flag. Let's join Scott Oak.
Don, I've been watching Matt Dunnigan throughout this game on the sidelines, and he's nothing like he usually is. And what I mean by that is he has been in discomfort, obvious discomfort, with gusts up to pain, so that makes his effort today truly outstanding. It seems a virtual certainty that he took a shot of freezing in his shoulder so that he could play today, but still he is playing in a lot of pain. The receivers have confided in me and told me that he can throw for distance, but the balls don't have the same zip on them. Not that it matters now with the score the way it is.
3:37 remaining, and the Toronto Argonauts lead 36-21 as Hank Olisic stands in the end zone. Calgary will get pretty good field position. Pee Wee Smith lets the ball bounce. Thought he might trap someone within that 5-yard area, but the Argos wisely stayed back. Blaine Schmidt is downfield to make the tackle. A 36-yard kick, a 1-yard run back. Well, Bruce McNall in 1988, when he purchased Wayne Gretzky from the Edmonton Oilers, probably thought he might wind up winning a Stanley Cup as a result. He might wind up with a Grey Cup before he ever wins a Stanley Cup if the Argos can protect this 36-21 advantage.
And he still might win a Stanley Cup this year.
Barrett to Carl Bland. That's been a great combination for the Calgary Stampeders in the fourth quarter. .253 is the time remaining here at Winnipeg Stadium. The Argos lead by 15. Will Itzy get another chance for a sideline run? Calgary fans certainly hope so. Danny Barrett has put the ball in the air 47 times today. That's just one shy of the Grey Cup record set by Jack Jacobs with Winnipeg in 1953. And that's the pass to Pee Wee Smith that will equal the Jack Jacobs record.
Yeah, Mike Campbell came all the way over from a defensive line position to make the tackle.
Calgary picks up the first down with Pee Wee Smith on the receiving end of the throw. Ed Berry grabbed him, and then Campbell came over to knock him out of bounds. Barrett tackled by Rodney Harding back at the 45-yard line. He was looking deep for Sean Beals.
He didn't have the time, and Rodney Harding just spun around the blocker and came in on Danny Barrett. You don't usually get a sack when you go low on the quarterback, but that's exactly what happened.
2:38 is the time remaining.
And he's not able to get out of the way, and look at Harding. Right in on his bad leg and pulled it up.
Second and 20, Calgary. Barrett steps away from the pressure, throws along the sidelines, and overthrows Sean Beals. So it will be 3rd and 20. And I don't think there's much doubt with 2:20 remaining that the Calgary Stampeders will go for it.
Well, they have to go for it, and I'm sure looking back, when they think about the 2 fumbles they gave up on kick-off returns, they ran up on the ball. Those short kicks really disrupted them, and they turned the ball over for 10 points.
This might be the final opportunity for the Calgary Stampeders to pull this one out. They're looking at 3rd and 20 from the 45-yard line. 2:20 is the time remaining in the game. Over the middle to Sean Beals. He's short of the first down. As he made the catch, it appeared as though he lost his footing, and he came down short of the first down.
Oh, Danny Barrett won't be happy with that. Your receivers have to run their routes so that they get the first down on the throws. But Beals, he broke it off too soon, and he didn't get any yardage after he caught the football. Look at Danny Barrett shaking his head. He's saying, Sean, let's get some depth before you make that break. Really nobody around him either.
Had he been able to stay on his feet, Beals only needed about 3 more yards, and he would have had a Calgary first down. But as it is, the Argos take over with 2:15 remaining.
Well, there's Matt Dunnigan. I mean, he's expecting a baby any day now. His second child.
The ball is loose. Who's got it? The Argos have recovered. Dunnigan had a little trouble with the exchange from center.
I think that's from not practicing. I mean, he's had that problem. This is the second time he's had that problem in the ball game. Anyway, it's a great week for Matt Dunnigan, because if Matthew can hold on to this victory, he'll have a Grey Cup victory, possibly a baby, and his parents are celebrating their 33rd anniversary. And that's what Matt Dunnigan wants to drink out of, a little champagne out of the Grey Cup.
Originally designed to be presented as an amateur hockey trophy. Some might say that's appropriate on a day such as today. The Grey Cup wound up being presented for the football championship in this country. Matt Dunnigan runs with the ball, and Matt Dunnigan is brought down at the 37-yard line, but most importantly for the Argos, he takes a lot of time off the clock. 1:44 is the time remaining.
Typical Matt Dunnigan play. I mean, here he is. He's all but got the Grey Cup wrapped up. He sprints out, and instead of going out of bounds that would let the clock run, what did he do? He put his head down, drove through about 4 different people, and Wayne Gretzky saying, hey, that's my guy. That's my quarterback.
Wayne Gretzky, John Candy, and Bruce McNall purchasing the Toronto Argonauts this past year. And their investment is going to pay dividends, as in their initial year as owners of this football team, they are 134 away from winning the Grey Cup. Hank Olisic's 3rd down punt, taken by Errol Tucker, nowhere to go. Paul Nastasiuk was the first downfield to make sure he didn't get beyond the 38-yard line. The Rocket electrified the crowd. An 87-yard touchdown return on a kickoff after the Stampeders had moved to within a single point.
Well, he didn't get a chance to catch many balls from the line of scrimmage, but he caught some kick returns, and he did the most with it.
Adam Rita's son, Kevin, who is a wide receiver at Boise State, is watching today's game via satellite. Adam asked us to say hello. Commissioner Donald Crump preparing for the presentation of the Grey Cup. It will take place on the field here at Winnipeg Stadium. And surprisingly, despite the fact that the majority of fans here have declared support for the Calgary Stampeders. It's a cold afternoon. They are still in their seats. Maybe they're stuck there. They can't get up. Carl Bland on the receiving end. First down, Calgary.
Well, they had a tremendous ovation, and the reason the ovation came about was they were thanking the city of Winnipeg. So that's how the people feel about the hospitality that's been afforded to them this Grey Cup week.
1:03 remaining in the game. Danny Barrett's pass drilled over the middle for a first down to Sean Beals at the 44 with 59 seconds remaining. The Toronto Argonauts are using the Winnipeg Blue Bomber locker room, and it looks as though there's going to be a rather lively celebration taking place there in about 55 seconds. Barrett's pass over the middle, first down to Sapunjas at the 24.
Well, you always look for who played a great game, and the Argos can take satisfaction in the fact that their marquee players have done a great job out there. Darrell K. Smith, the guy that always comes through with some big plays, he was there to get them the lead.
Barrett to Pee Wee Smith. The initial contact by Chris Gaines as he's brought down at the 17-yard line by Darrell Ford. 39 seconds remaining. 36-21. The Argos leading Calgary.
Calgary will have a lot of yardage when this ball game is over. Just the two bombs really from the Toronto side of the ball.
Wide open in the end zone. Alan Pitts, he can't haul it in. He got in behind Dave Bavell, and he could not reach up to haul in the throw from quarterback Danny Barrett. 27 seconds showing on the scoreboard clock now.
I'm watching Danny Barrett throw, and he's not really getting everything into it. Now, you got to think that a little bit of that problem has been the pulled quadricep muscle.
Third and 4, Calgary. Barrett complete to Simeon, and he should have the first down. He is stopped at about the 13-yard line by Don Wilson. 23 seconds remain.
Well, the Argo defense is doing exactly what they want to do. They're allowing him to make the catch. They're coming up making good, solid tackles, but more importantly, they're wasting time. They know the potential of the Calgary Stampeders.
Said the ball was at the 13-yard line. Judging by the spot, though, well, they do have it. The measurement reveals as they brought out the chain that they just made it. 23 seconds remaining. They actually spotted the ball at the 14-yard line. First and 10, Calgary. Stampeders trailing by 15. Barrett looks to the end zone. It is intercepted. Reggie Pleasant with the third Toronto interception of the football game, and that will guarantee a Toronto Argonaut Grey Cup triumph with just 13 seconds remaining here in this 79th edition of the Grey Cup game at Winnipeg Stadium. Ed Berry opened the game by intercepting a Danny Barrett pass and returning it for a touchdown. Reggie Pleasant has picked off two in the fourth quarter. One of them paved the way to a field goal. This one will pave the way to an Argo victory.
That's Reggie Pleasant's second interception. He's just been dropping back playing center field. He just waits for the bad throw, and then he pulled it off. Chris Gaines, he doesn't wait for anything. I mean, he wants to hit somebody. He's still fired up.
Chris Gaines prepared to celebrate a Grey Cup victory in his last appearance as a Toronto Argonaut. He has indicated that he is retiring. Dunnigan simply grounds the ball, and we're really not sure the amount of time remaining. It should be about 11 seconds, but they have had problems with the clock all day. Wally Buono and Larry Rickman, the coach and the owner, watching the final seconds tick off. And They may have some problems trying to present the Grey Cup on the field here at Winnipeg Stadium as fans are coming out of the stands onto the field. Bruce McNall, the owner, now with Alfie Schlegel. Alfie?
Thanks, Don. I'm with Bruce McNall. Bruce, you must be absolutely thrilled. How's the team? How do you feel?
Fantastic. I am thrilled to death. I'm so proud of the players and everybody else involved. And for Wayne and John, especially, grew up right in Toronto. And I think it's a dream come true for everybody. It's fantastic.
How's the first Grey Cup feel?
It's amazing. I can't believe it. I feel so lucky. I just can't imagine. Fantastic.
Congratulations. Good year. Back to you, John.
Yes, indeed, a great year for the Toronto Argonauts. The purchase of the team by the Bruce McNall Group, Wayne Gretzky and John Candy, the other two partners who purchased the football team, the signing of the Rocket, and culminated today in the winning of the Grey Cup. A tremendous performance by the Toronto Argonauts. A team all week that was extremely loose as they prepared for this Grey Cup game, and now Don Crump, the commissioner, is going to present the trophy. The Argo captains holding the Grey Cup high, and the city of Toronto will be celebrating this Grey Cup triumph on Tuesday with a parade. John Candy will be the parade marshal. The Grey Cup celebration will begin leaving Union Station at 12:15, moving up Bay Street to Nathan Phillips Square, as Torontonians get an opportunity to congratulate their Grey Cup heroes, the 1991 edition of the Toronto Argonauts. 36-21 victors over the Calgary Stampeders today at Winnipeg Stadium. And it's appropriate, I suppose, that we should see fireworks in the air, because it was a rocket that really turned this game around.
I think the punt returns, the kick returns by the Rocket certainly made the difference. And then, of course, Matt Dunnigan coming off of what really looked in the first half to be a damaged shoulder, and then coming out in that third quarter throwing 2 touchdown bombs. So we've had some rockets and we've had some bombs, and the Argos have a victory.
I don't think you can say enough about the courageous performance of Matt Dunnigan. All week there was concern as to whether he would be able to play in the Grey Cup game. He indeed played. He started the game. He fired touchdown strikes to David Williams and another to Paul Massotti in leading the Argos to a 36-21 Grey Cup win over the Calgary Stampeders.